the scary part. I've been in a store with people and I don't recognize them right off because and this is people that I know very well. Mm-hmm. And then I think, oh, that's such and such, but I don't recognize them. And I don't know about you, Mark, but there is so much that can be said that can't be said just through our eyes.
Right.
And so to me, it's just, I think it's rocking a lot of people's worlds. I think people want to see faces again. Mm-hmm. And I will share this. I think that from someone that has lost their parents, I was lucky to have my parents and have a relationship with them, but neither one of them made it to 70. So I feel like I was cut short. But I will tell you this. If they were both alive, they would say, get rid of the mask and live. They would say, live today. Because, Mark, I don't know about you. I do things every day that is risky. I get in my car and I drive. When I've had a bad day, I eat that container full of cookies by myself.
Stuff will kill you.
Do you think that's good for my heart?
No. Yeah, and you're making a legitimate, strong point that keeps getting ignored by the very people who are imposing these barbaric restrictions and mandates on your child and on your family that has worked so hard. I'm sorry, I'm starting to get a little passionate about this thing because
passion is good.
Of what this school, because of a governor, I don't want to get into that, but just saying highly recommend, and our commissioners who say highly recommend, they opt out and they say highly recommend because they can't tell it like it is. And you have certain health professionals who are on the bandwagon for whatever reason. And we know that children and teenagers do not contract this virus. And if they do get it, it was 99.9%.
They can fight it.
Yeah, I've had it. I got over it in 2.5 days without any medication whatsoever.
Do you know what, Mark? I think all of us are, no, that's good.
We're getting off topic.
But I think we're all going to have it at one time or another.
Have had it.
Or have had it. And you know what? Like I said, I truly believe, my heart of heart says there's just a big fear factor behind all of this.
You said it. I agree 100%. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. That's my opinion. I'm only one person, and no one pays me to think. So this is just my opinion, but I will tell you, I think the whole thing has been blown out of proportion, in my opinion, and I think it has took a toll on mental health.
Absolutely.
And for my daughter that has autism, she not only has autism, bless her heart, she battles OCD and anxiety.
Wow.
And for her to go from going to school and having first hour, second hour, third hour, seeing the teachers to in March, we came home from a vacation of a lifetime. We actually, last March, were blessed by God because we had the opportunity to go to Cancun, Mexico.
Wow, yeah.
Called off for the rest of the year. Everything.
Joy.
Yeah, everything would be online, and all I could think was, I'm not fit to be my daughter's teachers.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The parents, look at the parent. What are the parents having to deal with this?
Oh my goodness.
Invisible enemy and the reaction to it.
And I'm going to be honest with you, especially for special needs children. Yeah. Okay, this is just being real and uncut. No, I do not expect the school to babysit my kids. Mm-hmm. I'm the parent. That's my job. But for a special needs student that functions and has to have routine to function, and the parents are tired because it's stressful to raise a kid with special needs, not that it's the special needs child's fault, because I would not trade my Sydney for the world.
Mm-hmm.
She has taught me far more than I will ever teach her.
Mm-hmm.
But when her world was turned into, she couldn't see those teachers in person, she couldn't go to those classes, her mental health was wrecked. She got so nervous, Mark, that she couldn't eat. If she ate, she threw up. Mm. And I heard this question over and over. When's the library going to be open? When can I go to the library and look at books and get on the computer like I did? Mom, why is everybody scared? She kept saying that over and over. When are they going to take these signs off the doors? And I still
this girl has so much common sense. It's just crazy.
Okay, so
she is smarter than politicians.
It's funny that you say this.
She is amazing. Go ahead.
I think she's amazing too. My dad, when he was alive, he said, Amanda, he said, Sydney is smarter than the rest of us. And she is. She may do math at a 3rd grade level, and that's the best we can do. Mm-hmm. And she maybe didn't learn to tie a shoe till she was 15. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the facts, she gets it, and she knows. And here's a funny little story for you. Well, some people would say embarrassing, but I just said she was saying what I've been wanting to say with this whole COVID mess. Yeah. So Sydney, like I said, since she has autism, she doesn't get invited to a lot of things because people are afraid of how's she going to act. Now, I can't say that about the church. She's welcome to every youth group there. She's attended camps. She's known for standing in the front of the church, and when the songs come on, she shakes her fist and she's saying.
She sits up there on the front row with my family sometimes.
And she sits with your family a lot and
sings her heart out.
And she doesn't care who's watching. Mm-hmm. And that's how Sydney is when she says things. She doesn't really care who's listening. She's being real. Mm-hmm. So sometime through all this COVID mess, well, like I said, she likes to go out to eat. Outings with mom and sister and dad going out to eat is like a social activity for her because she's not invited to friends' house. So she wants to go out and eat, and she wants to have that cheeseburger, and she wants the fries, and that's a good time to her. And, hey, I like that. I like to eat. Sydney's smart. Mm-hmm. So here we go marching into Applebee's one day, and I knew, what are they going to say? I had the fear in the back of my head about the mask. My youngest daughter has a mask on, and I'm not wearing a mask, and Sydney obviously is not. Mm-hmm. And the lovely lady that met us said, you need to wear a mask to get to the table. Do you have one, or would you like to purchase one? And my daughter with autism says, when is this going to stop? This is ridiculous.
Yes, good word.
And I'm thinking, oh, yeah. And my youngest daughter, Mac, is going, Mom, we better go, because she knows Sydney's unleashing. Mm-hmm. And the lady looks startled and taken aback as a person could. And I said, my daughter has autism. I said, and due to sensory reasons, she cannot wear a mask. And I think I left the lady speechless.
Right. Good.
And she was speechless. And I said, thank you, but we'll be going elsewhere. And for the next 2 hours, my daughter didn't even want to go through the drive-thru of places because she's like, she kept saying, I just want things to be the way they were before. When are people going to stop doing this?
Yeah, she gets it.
She said, I want to see faces. Mm-hmm. And she's just very frustrated by the whole thing. And I get that too. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do know people that are elderly and that they were told to not, heavens forbid, expose themselves to other people, to social distance. And guess what? The last few months of their life were spent alone because of social distancing. Because of the fear of you're not supposed to interact with other people. I don't know about you, Mark, but I know, like I shared with you before, I lost my dad to cancer in 2011. He was the healthiest person I knew. And in 4 months, the strongest person I knew withered away and vanished before my sight.
Sorry.
And I'm sorry too, but he's taught me lots of lessons, and I carry those with me. And I know in my heart of hearts, if he was still here, he would say, take off the mask, go visit people, live your life, because we only have one chance and tomorrow's not promised. And my mom, who was a retired nurse, she passed in 2015, and she was claustrophobic. So much to the point that all of her shirts were V-neck. She never wore a necklace. So we're talking about some sensory things there. So see, we're all a little bit on the spectrum.
Yeah, that's right.
If we think about it. If she was alive, and she was a registered nurse, because there were several times before she made herself a DNR that she had a CPAP placed on her face to force oxygen into her body. And she said, Amanda, she said, I cannot stand the weight of anything on my face. She said, I don't want anything on my face anymore. And I know if she was alive, even being a nurse, she would say, put that mask on me and see what happens.
She would have been a fighter.
She would have, and you've heard nurses are some of the most difficult patients. And she, I think she would have maybe resigned nursing if she had to wear a mask, because she could not, she physically, like I said, she was claustrophobic. And she would tell me, she's like, Amanda, I can't stand anything around my neck. I can't stand being closed in. And when it came to, of course, that's an extreme example with the, with the thing put on her face, forcing the oxygen. But she said, I don't like anything on my face. And I really think that she would have resigned nursing. And I also have another relative that resigned being a elementary teacher a year early due to COVID, that she did not want to teach that way.
Right.
She wanted to see faces. She wanted to give hugs.
Yeah.
And people forget about this, Mark. For some kids, school is the only safe place, and it might be the only place they get a hug.
That's right.
So imagine being a teacher through COVID and being told, don't hug your students.
Exactly.
And, I've heard from, I have a lot of friends that are either paras or teachers.
Yeah, me too.
And I have one friend that's a para, and she said, Amanda, when school was online, she said the student was basically told they were grounded and to be in their room most of the day by themselves. Now, you and I know that's not a good environment.
Nope.
So would you rather have that child at school with people not in the same room all day, or have them? Not everybody has a happy home life. Okay. And so online schooling is dangerous in lots of ways.
To a tech geek, it's not, especially if they want to impose more, They want us all. They want our children and all the
Yes.
elderly and everyone in front of a laptop or a computer or on their cell phone. I don't want to get into that, but
sure,
that's what you're saying there. That's exactly why I believe there's an agenda behind the whole mask and social distancing thing being imposed through our school system and government entities, because they have to know what you're talking about.
Right.
They have to know that it destroys lives.
Oh, my goodness.
And they can't be that incompetent.
No.
And people do get angry with me for speaking my opinion, and we may get censored because of this. I hope not, but because this is the truth from your perspective.
Right. I'm just one person with my own opinion.
Yeah.
And I've always been taught to embrace other people's opinions. Mm-hmm. And I'm open to everybody's opinion. Yeah. This is just one person's side of the story.
But you are one of many. And what you're saying, I don't think is theory, or I don't think it's opinion. I believe it is fact.
Right.
I do believe that sincerely. I don't think there's any wiggle room here. And we need to get children, all children, out of the masks, away from the social distancing, and back in.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Crest, Colony, Kansas, those people. They got it together.
They made it happen.
And their children over there, they're participating in activities.
Absolutely.
Like
and they're seeing each other's faces.
Yeah. They're going to be.
And my gosh, I think it's a known idea that people thrive off of human interactions. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know how much interaction you can get in a mask. And when it's totally online schooling, even my youngest daughter has said, and my hat's off to the teachers. They have a more difficult job than ever right now because they're juggling online students, in-person students, and all of that good stuff. But my youngest daughter even said, she said, Mom, it's like some of the teachers have said, it's on your computer, just look it up. And she has said, Mom, I need to be talked to. I'm not talking about all teachers.
Yeah,
there are some teachers out there teaching their heart out, but people are starting to give up. And she has said, Mom, people are saying it's on your computer, just look it up. And she said, I don't want to just look at my computer. She said, I want someone to talk to me. She said, I want to hear it. I want to see it. And there's just things that you can't replicate through a Zoom meeting.
Exactly. Oh, our music teachers are suffering. Now, I'm not talking about all of them, just like you said.
Yes.
But there is excuse me just a second. There is an element of the teachers out there,
yes,
that enjoy this. They actually are on board 100% with this. Trust me. I know this for a fact. Every step of the way since March have been on board with this. And I don't understand how a teacher can sleep at night as a proponent of this kind of teaching.
I can't either.
Partial online instruction is fine, but for the most part, the teachers that you and I probably know and speak with, they want this thing to end now.
Oh, absolutely.
And let's get on with it. We will take the risk and teach these kids.
Yes.
Because they know
they do
what the virus is, and they know that they'll be fine. And there are actual remedies for that if you know what you're doing. But that information seems to be stifled a little bit.
Well, I think if you talk to a music teacher right now,
yes, I know the one you're talking.
Because of masks, they've had to change their whole curriculum.
Yeah, but there's a lot of money being made out there for these special masks with the little flappy thing that comes up. You should have been in the loop with the Gates and all those other people and invested.
I guess I should have. But one more little story about the mask. My husband went with his parents, my in-laws, to Golden Corral. This has been 3-4 months ago. mind you, my father-in-law does not mince words. He's got that old biker, and here's squashing stereotypes. Bikers are not bad people. I love to bike with my husband. I'm your motorcycle mama all the way. You ride to live and live to ride.
I would have.
Okay, but to paint a picture, so here's my husband with his parents. They go to Golden Corral, and they're met at the door by the host, who says, "You need masks to enter." And my father-in-law said, "You mean I gotta put a mask on to walk less than 30 feet to my table, to take it off, and then to eat?" And my husband is not as outspoken as his dad, and he's embarrassed and hungry, and he just wants to eat Golden Corral.
Sure.
Yeah. And, of course, the host is like, yes. And my father-in-law says, it says right on the side of the box, because she's offering him a disposable mask.
Yeah.
He says, it says right on the side of the box, does not prevent the spread of COVID.
Exactly.
And the whole time, Mark, my husband is thinking, Dad, I really want Golden Corral. They have the best buffet out there. There's some of everything on the menu. He's thinking, Dad, just put on the mask. Let's get to our table. You can take it off to eat and have to. And no, my father-in-law is like, no. And so later that day,
I like your father-in-law. He's tough, man.
He is tough. He doesn't put up with guff from anyone. And that's the way it should be. David was like, I just wanted to eat the Golden Corral. Dad, if you could just wear the mask and be quiet long enough so I could get some food. Yeah. But my father-in-law was like, no. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to do it. And this is the trouble with this whole thing. Nobody wants to step out of their comfort zone.
Right.
And back to Sydney, to be able for her to attend her senior year at school, we had to go to the doctor and get an order that said that she could not wear a mask.
Now, are you okay telling the public who the doctor was that did that?
I am fine with that, and I hope he won't throw me under the bus. But, you know, we took Sydney to Dr. Ross Kimball in Garnett, and I don't know if you know.
I do know
him or not.
Dr. Kimball.
But he is a wonderful person. And I want to tell you this. When I came up with this dilemma, I talked to Sydney's regular doctor, and they said that policies prevented them from writing an order saying that she didn't have to wear a mask.
Wow.
And so here's Amanda, who it's very hard to cry because sometimes I'm too tough and I get numb. But that night after that meeting, I cried myself to sleep thinking, my daughter who's met all these obstacles with autism and come out like a champ. Yeah, we have our battles and we still suffer, but she's conversing now and having conversations, something I prayed about. She developed a relationship with her sister, something I prayed about. She has somebody, a bestie, Randy, even though it's not her peer group age, that invites her to stay the night.
It's a start.
We're making headway. These are big mountains we're moving, Mark. I'm telling you. And to be told she can't go to school because she won't wear a mask, she'll have to be taught online. And
for something as that we know is not near what it's built up to be.
Right. And guess what? She has attended school because of Dr. Kimball's order with all this time. But I will tell you this about Dr. Kimball. He is a wonderful man. and he is a physician that will talk to you and take the time to discuss things with you. And it takes a special doctor to get special needs people. I went to his office with my husband and my daughter, knowing that I could probably leave there and still be in the same dilemma, that my daughter could not attend in-person school her senior year because we could not. I was not going to ask her to wear a mask. Like her sister said, she said, Mom, it's not an inconvenience for Sydney. She said, it's an inconvenience for me, and I'm tired of it, and when I get home, it's like I forget how to breathe. I take that thing off my face, and she's like, whoa. She's like, fresh air, what is this? And she said, Mom, when school started, she said, the teachers remembered we needed fresh air breaks, and, we were at least getting breaks. She said, after we'd been to school for a couple months, she said, the breaks went away, and she's like, it's an annoyance. I can do it, but for Sydney, it's more than inconvenience. She can't do it. She physically can't do it. So when we took Sydney to Dr. Kimball, I knew, after I'd been told by our regular physician, that I cannot write an order like that. It's against policies.
Sounds like a lie to me.
I think so. And Amanda's thinking, what do I do? So I'll throw another friend under the bus. Craig Cole, my friend that's an attorney. Before I went to see Dr. Kimball, I said, what do I do? I said, I am not one to sue anyone. I said, but I feel like this is unfair. Yeah. And I feel like I need some ammunition. I don't think this is right. And I said, you know what? I said, what can I do to get Sydney in school? And he said, Amanda, he said, there's a lot of people wanting to duck and dodge this. Nobody wants to be liable. He said, but if you have a doctor's order, something about it being difficult for Sydney to wear a mask, he said, there's not a leg anyone can stand on. And I didn't even meet with him in person. He left that message with me, and he more or less said, go get him, Tiger. And so, like I said, but when I called my regular doctor and they said, policy says we can't write an order like that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've given up. So I thought, well, there's more than one doctor in town, and no offense to my, the doctor that was following Sydney at that time, but I was like, that's not good enough, enough.
It was that doctor's choice.
Right. So we went to see Dr. Kimball. He met Sydney. We talked. We laughed. She told him what she thought of the whole COVID thing and how she was tired of people wearing a mask and the whole kit and caboodle. And Dr. Kimball looked at me and said, I told myself I wouldn't write an order like this. He said, but there's an exception to every rule. He said, she needs to be in school with her peers. Not being in school is going to rip her mental health apart. He said, I'm writing the order. I'll be calling the school, and let's get this kid in school. At this date, she was 2 days late starting her senior year because I hadn't got it approved that she could attend without a mask. So she attended 3 days late. She missed 3 days. But we got the order. We got her in school. And my youngest daughter said, if anybody says it's not fair that Sydney doesn't have to wear a mask, she said, Mom, I'm coming home. She said, there's going to be a fight, and I'm coming home. Yep. and my youngest daughter is not at all violent, and she kills people with kindness. But that's how strongly she felt about it.
Well, her peers would be correct, but of all people, she should not be wearing a mask. It is hurting all the other
Absolutely,
kids,
it is.
all the way down to the primary level.
Absolutely.
But she is correct that in this case, and
Yes.
thank you, Dr. Kimball, for at least recognizing this, that there's no way that she could be in that building with a mask on.
She could.
Now we need to get those masks off of her peers so she can have the full, because we know it's having an effect on her.
She keeps saying, when can I see people's faces?
Yeah, they're forgetting about that.
And I wonder when I can see people's faces.
Me too.
I will tell you, I even have relatives that have came over to my house or me to theirs, and they have a mask on, and when they take it off, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you again.
Oh, you say that? I'm so happy to see you.
It's like they've been gone, and
well, they are. People are. It is building a wall intentionally.
Yes.
There's been a wall imposed at every level of our social being.
Yes.
For whatever purpose.
Right.
And I can guarantee you COVID-19 is not worth that.
No. And do you know what? I really, truly believe that someday we're going to look back and be like, wow, what was all of that about?
Yeah.
And what a lot of wasted time, wasted energy. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind away. And here to revert back to Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
If she would have been forced to do online schooling, when you do online schooling, that often means no extracurricular activities. For Sydney, she's not an athlete, but she is a singer. And she excels at choir. She can sing like nobody's business. And for her senior year to not have a Pops concert. There was no Pops concert last year.
Right. Twice. If it happens.
If it happens, those seniors missed out. Now, the extraordinaire Mrs. Natasha Getz, her and a student came up with the grand idea that for this year's Pops concert, it would be bring back the seniors from last year that didn't get a Pops concert. If that comes into play, nobody will be happier than me because Sydney was set to sing a duo with her beloved friend, Joey Fibern. And Sydney and Joey had practiced that duo, and everyone said, and it's the Christina Aguilera song, Say Something.
Yeah.
Everyone said that it was going to bring the house down. COVID took that from us. And I'm not happy about it.
The reaction to COVID took it from you.
Took that from us. And Joey, bless his heart, who has went off to college, has said, if we get that chance, he said, I'm coming back and I'm singing with Sydney.
Good.
So that's what we're, I hope that happens.
You've got some real progress there. Would you please pray for the removal of masks and social distancing mandates in USD 365 so they can do this performance without all of that?
Do you know what, Mark? I've already prayed for that. But how about this? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. How about I continue to pray?
Sounds good to me.
But I do want to tell you something very special about Sydney. Not only, I don't know if I gave you this statistic before or not, but 10% of people on the autistic spectrum are thought to have savant skills.
Right, yeah.
And savant skills could be excelling in math, music, art. For Sydney, it's singing. It's the kid and Bonnie Kubaka in grade school said she'd never met another kindergartner with rhythm like Sydney.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And here's another little interesting tidbit about the music. When Sydney was in grade school, we decided, like I said, I was reading every book I could get my hands on about autism. And as a music instructor, you can appreciate this more than most, Mark. Mm-hmm. I was told music therapy. Mm-hmm. There's been many studies that suggest that kids that have music in their life, it directly impacts their academics for the better. And right now, my youngest daughter is begging for guitar lessons from you.
Oh, from me? Okay.
And Mom keeps saying, I know that would change your life for the better. When we sit around a campfire, you could play the song.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But right now, being a freshman is hard, and grades are hard. Mm-hmm. I said, get those grades up, and maybe we can get those guitar lessons rolling.
Yeah, we need to get things back to normal first, and
yes.
That way our education is plummeting.
Yes,
with this new normal process.
I couldn't agree with you more.
We need to conquer this.
Oh, gosh, I hope we can conquer this. But what I wanted to tell you about Sydney is a lot of people on the spectrum. And like I told you before, you meet one person with autism, you've only met one.
Right.
They're all very different, just as David said at the school meeting when they said, well, there's 7 other kids in the district and they're wearing a face mask. And he said, it's the spectrum. He said, everyone's different. It's an umbrella. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so she had her senior pictures taken.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to get.
I've got a book here, and Sydney has obsessions. Like people on the spectrum typically have obsessions, mm-hmm. and the people that work with her at school closely know these, and they hear them all the time. Over the years, it's been different things. When she was small, it started out with figurines. She had to, and this reminds me too, one characteristic of some people on the spectrum is hand flapping. It looks something like this. Mm-hmm. When Sydney was in a car seat and a toddler, before she was diagnosed, she'd sit in the back seat and she'd do this.
Interesting.
And I think, that's kind of strange that she does that. Mm-hmm. And another thing about people with autism is they stim when they see something they like or excited. Mm-hmm. And when she would watch a movie like that she really liked, or Ice Age, or would see things that were visually pleasing to her, she would wring her hands and almost do like a body shake.
Okay.
And I had people, and you could see her physically tense up and make her body shake. And I had people say, is she cold? Because they could see it happening. And I would say, no, she's happy.
Okay.
And just to tell you, too, why people with autism need someone to go to bat for them. I'll never forget, my husband's profession is a pipe welder. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we've been blessed for him to be local and to stay at home. Mm-hmm. Other times he's had to travel for work. Yeah. When the girls were small, we went out to Ohio to see him when he was working there. And we flew home from there. Mm-hmm. And Sydney was in grade school. I don't remember the exact year. And when Sydney's happy, she hums loudly. Seems harmless. Okay. On this flight home, Sydney got really happy and she started and I didn't think it was too loud because we weren't flying first class. We were at the back of the plane and the engine was kind of loud.
Right.
But Sydney was happy, and this mother with a daughter with autism was just like, I'm so glad she's not overstimulated. She's happy. We're not having a meltdown, because meltdowns are something that go along with people on the spectrum. So I'm like, the humming is good. Well, a lady across the way from us complained to the stewardess that humming was really annoying. Yeah. And I get that. After a while, the humming is like, that is enough. Let's shut that down. Mm-hmm. Okay, but for Sydney, that was, I'm happy, I'm humming. And the stewardess couldn't have been nicer and said, this lady's complaining, blah, blah, blah. I looked right at her and said, my daughter has an autism spectrum disorder. And I said, when she's happy, she hums. I said, I'm glad that we have this and she's not having a meltdown. And she said, I understand. And that she was sorry that she had bothered me. She went back and told the guest that had complained. Mm-hmm. And I physically watched the guests shrink in their chair. Oh, well, yeah. And all but put their hand up and wanted to hide. Now, I did not do that to call the person out. It's not like me to judge someone and to make anyone feel. There's enough hate in the world, Mark. Right. I don't want to spread the hate, but they needed to be aware that this was the situation at hand. Yeah. And I have learned with Sydney and my experience with her with autism that I sometimes have to go to bat, and it's my job to advocate for her. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't, then who will? Now, she's high enough functioning communication-wise, she can speak up for herself now. Mm-hmm. But that was not always the case. And she will. She'll put you in your place. But this book I wanted to share with you, Sydney is a senior this year. She's never liked pictures. Like I said, she doesn't like different clothes. What you see is what you get with Sydney. Mm-hmm. She doesn't wear makeup, and she's a parent's dream for getting ready for school. She gets her shower, she gets dressed, and she's ready to go. Wow. That's impressive. It's really impressive. But this is the deal. So for her senior pictures, one of her obsessions is lemurs and sloths. Okay. And my daughter can tell you everything there is to know about lemurs and sloths. And so in this book... Yeah, you can hold that up. Now you don't see a lot of... And Sydney's 18. You don't see a lot of 18-year-olds liking stuffed animals. Her stuffed animals are her babies. Okay. And she's 18, and she sometimes takes a stuffed lemur to school. Some people would think that's strange. I think if I only had the guts to not care what everybody else thinks, because she doesn't. So here, I don't know if you can see. Hold that up there. I don't know if you can see, but... That's good. That works. This is Sydney with her babies. We've got lemurs in here. On the steps. And we've got sloths. And they're not just any lemur or sloths. Sydney's had many obsessions over the years. Mm-hmm. And one of her obsessions was baby names. Okay. Because obsessions go along with autism. So we probably have like 14 baby name books. And Sydney, if I can call it a savant skill, memorized a lot of the meanings of names. Very good. We even had a guest at our house once that we had just met. We were hosting a gender reveal, and it was a friend of a family member, and they introduced their son as, this is Zephyr. And I thought, that's an interesting name. Sydney, without hesitation, gave us the definition of the name.
Really?
Gave it to us where it was derived from. The father of the child sat there with his mouth hanging open going, nobody knows the definition of that name. I said, you have to know. Sydney, one of her obsessions with autism is baby names. I said she has many of the meanings memorized. And she used to think it was ridiculous that I didn't know. She would say, Mom, in 2009, such and such was in the top 10 baby names in Israel. Well, who would not know that? But she read these things and she committed them to her mind with her ability to memorize, which blows me away.
I can't do that.
But not only are these her babies, they all have names. Some of them middle names. So she's carried her obsession of names over to the obsession of lemurs and sloths.
Okay.
And here's the funny thing. Sydney, sometimes people with autism say things that aren't appropriate. Mm-hmm. And if you see in this picture, she's pulling this lemur's tail.
Right.
One of the things she says that's not appropriate with her autism is, I want to pull their tails.
Okay.
And so we took this up. She says that, but she would never do it. She just talked about it. So this is Sydney and her babies. But talking about not liking different clothes, let me get to another picture. Sydney has to get used to clothes. So you see her here looking so beautiful in this dress. Mm-hmm. When we pick out a dress for Sydney, it takes a lot of work.
Okay.
It has to be comfortable. That dress becomes a dress to wear at weddings, funerals, important family things, because it's not an option to have, like her sister, a closet full of different clothes. Because with autism, she's limited. Mm-hmm. So this dress that she's wearing in this picture was her Pops concert dress when she sang, of course I'm not going to be able to remember. A
couple years ago.
Yeah, she sang something by Leanne Rimes, Blue.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
But the most memorable picture or song that she ever sang, I think, was Pop's concert her freshman year. She sang Silhouette by Owl City, and Owl City, she really thinks that Owl City is cool because it said that he has Asperger's, which is a form of autism.
Okay.
And there it's a religious, he's kind of a one-man band. Like he's the singer and he has all these electronics that make the music. Mm-hmm. So it's really a phenomenal thing. But Sydney sang Silhouette by Owl City, and I've never heard a crowd roar so loud. And it just was amazing. And I'll never forget a peer of hers, Briar White, who has been a great friend to her, said the night before rehearsal, she sang the song, and I'll never forget, he came over to me, and I was telling him what a phenomenal singer he is, because he sings at our church, and the kid is just, well, he's not a kid anymore, he's a young man, but he's just talent bursting at the seams and all heart. And he said to me, he said, it's ridiculous how easy she makes singing.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that as long as I live, when he said that, coming from someone that I think he is an amazing musician. And he just shook his head and said, it's ridiculous how easy singing is for her.
Yeah. I think it's the combination of having the instrument.
Yes.
And being able to memorize the rhythms.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Put it into practice with ease. And the fact that she can remember words.
Oh,
lyrics,
she can.
That's the worst fear for a singer is the fear of forgetting a line or words. Or
absolutely.
Repeating a verse.
Yes, but we
she does it.
We talked about how music is important to the development of so many things.
Well, it's social, it's expression, and it's
And
also
yes,
analytical.
My favorite saying is, when words fail, music speaks. Sydney on her own said, she said, I think I know what my instrument is. And I said, what's that? And she said, my voice.
It's internal.
And I thought, whoa. And Mark, I love music and I appreciate it. But I thought, well, there's one instrument I won't have to buy.
Yes, that's true.
And so.
And it's beneficial for her on many levels.
It is. It is beneficial for her for many reasons. And for me. But I guess I just want people to know that, autism it's so, like I said, what did I tell you? It's 1 in every 54 people. Now, years ago, this is not, I haven't read, that's recent data, but back when I was really heavily reading it, it's, I remember reading, they said it was the fastest growing childhood disability. So, and the other thing that I want to encourage people about is just be themselves. Sydney's here to teach us all to be better people, that we don't have to put on a face that isn't ours. Just be real. The only person we're answering to is the man upstairs. But I will tell you, with autism, there's struggles. There's struggles. I will tell you, I have laughed, I have cried. And it's something that Sydney and we do together, and people say, well, is she going to ever live by herself? Is she going to, and I say, I don't know. I'm getting through today. I don't know what the future is.
Right. You have to take it one day at a time at this point.
Right. And at this point, she isn't driving. She's 18, but Sydney's so aware because her sister Mac has her learner's permit right now, and she's learning to drive. And man, oh man, has Mac improved. And we're getting there. But when this started up, Sydney said, well, Mac is driving. She said, I'm 18. She said, well, and I can't drive. She said, what am I going to do? Walk everywhere?
Oh, well.
And I said, you know what, Sydney? I said, you have so many people that love you and care about you. You'll get rides. And I said, you know what? Someday you may be ready to drive, but we're not there yet. And so that's the thing autism has taught me. Definitely think outside the box for everything. Where there's a will, there's a way. One of my biggest fears, Sydney's 18 now, so we've got through some of these big hurdles of autism. There hasn't been a lot of study on adults with autism, but people need to know it's a lifelong. It's like you don't grow out of it. I've heard so many people say, oh, Sydney's doing so much better. She's growing out of it. And I say, it's lifelong. She's coping. And here's, and this is another, I can talk for hours, subject for another day, but they have actually done studies on cadavers of the brains of people on the spectrum. They show excess white matter. They're enlarged, or if you want to call inflamed. There's some real differences there. And
That's interesting.
I'm going to stomp the belief. Some people say vaccinations, that causes autism. My heart there with autism, there is no known cause and no known cure to this day. It's a mystery to the most intelligent researchers. But my heart says it's genetic. And I say that because there are many families that have more than one child with autism.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think those who believe the mass, all these vaccinations that
Yes.
they're getting, it's not proven, but I think that they believe that you can alter DNA at a certain level
Yes.
and possibly can trigger something. And I think that's where that
Yes.
thought is coming from.
I guess I want to wrap up by saying, please pray for Sydney in this next chapter of adulthood. And I want to say my hat's off to my daughter, Mackenzie, because she is really starting to embrace that this is a lifelong journey for her sister. But she does say daily, I wish I didn't have autism. It makes everything hard.
Sure.
And I'll wrap up with this. I tell her this every day. Some of the smartest people in the world have autism.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I tell her is God gives the strongest battles to the toughest soldiers.
Wow.
And the fact that she is so verbal makes me hopeful that she will have the courage to share her story with other people and be the voice for some on the spectrum that aren't so vocal.
Exactly. Well, before we wrap it up here, this photo album has her picture on the front. Do you want to hold that up one more time? That's a great picture.
There's Sydney.
Like that. And is it okay to shake, or
absolutely
are we doing this silly stuff?
No, we're not doing elbow bump. I was so delighted that you wanted to discuss a topic that I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be very educational. And this is probably the longest interview I've ever done, but I'm just absorbing all this information. I've always wanted to know what it's like from someone who has worked with a child like Sydney and gotten her so far.
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't get her this far by myself.
Right.
So many teachers along the way, so many paras.
That's true. Yeah.
So many prayers, and a husband, like I said, when I read that statistic, 80% of married couples with a child on the spectrum divorce in the first couple years after diagnosis. To hear my husband say, and he didn't wait, I guess we're in the 20%.
Good for him.
I knew that whatever the battle brought to the table, we were going to battle it together. And it's not over yet. We're still battling.
Still in the battle.
And
that one's not going to go away.
Like I said, as she approaches adulthood, it's a different, scary next step for us. But we're going to do it one day at a time.
Okay. Well, Amanda, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
This is Verity Seeker. I am your host, Mark Powls. This is Amanda, and we're going to sign off.
Have a fantastic day.